1998. We'll see if he learned anything.
Go. That's not nice.
It's Peter that showed me this one because I play in ensemble.
You played in the ensemble?
In his combo.
In his combo, yeah.
Yes. 4 years with him. Not the first year. The first year was Camille David.
Camille David, yeah.
Peter,
With the combo, yeah.
Didn't have a combo in 1986, but in 1995 to
He had a combo.
1998. I think he liked me a bit.
You came to visit us in New York. He did like
Lauren and Fred, look at this.
And he liked teaching in Charlevoix. He loved the Domaine Forget. We look forward to going every year. The first year we went, the previous manager of the Domain came to Ottawa, where Peter and John Hicks and Ray Drummond were doing a concert. And the manager of Domaine Forget came and said, I want you to come to my school and teach. So,
Wow,
so they went.
beautiful.
And the first year after the concert, the hydro went out. So Peter and John Hicks and they talked well into the night in the dark. And that was the beginning, and he went back every year by himself. Because it was very nice. And I came with him.
I see my one and only love.
Beautiful. Thank you. Merci. Beautiful. Merci. Wow.
Does anyone wish to say something else about Peter?
I'll say something. So I met Peter, he was maybe the first guy that I ever really heard. Locally, I had heard, people come to the United States at different clubs. The first local musician I ever heard. And I said, wow, that's an actual, for real jazz musician. But there were no jazz clubs in those days in Montreal. It was the dead period. So I don't remember how I had heard about him. That's one thing. And if anyone comes up with that, any ideas where I would have heard about him or how I don't know. But
Bob Walker will tell you.
yeah, but anyway, so in those days, there was no jazz gigs, but there were these sort of top 40 gigs. And Peter would do these gigs, and I go to see these gigs. And those days, those were rough gigs. You play 6 nights a week, 3 shows a night, matinee on Sundays, so 4 shows on Sundays. And there was never any jazz played, ever, except once a set, for some reason, their leader would, stop paying attention or something, and Peter would get his chance, like just for one song. Could be, I remember going to see me the first time, and it was going to Kansas City, right? Okay. And the guy was doing just the top 40, Tie Yellow Ribbon, something, and then all of a sudden, we'll just play that. And Peter would take a solo and go, wow, there it is, jazz, okay. Right? And then he'd go back to the grind again for the next 2 sets, the next 3 sets, and that would happen like every day. Every time he'd go to see me, the same story. So what I got from that is Peter was he really persevered. He persevered when there was no jazz gigs in Montreal to be had, but he kept playing jazz anyway. So that's one thing that really impressed me about Peter. And the other thing that Peter was talking to Lauren about this earlier is that he would tell you things, right, about music. And the things he would tell you about music usually had a lot to do with things that people don't talk about hardly ever anymore. But he learned to play jazz by listening to jazz, and he felt jazz. He really felt jazz, like he really felt it. And he would tell you things, and he'd have these, like, what's the one you told me earlier? Oh, the 8th notes, right?
Not all 8th notes are
created
equal.
And I remember he would sit down at a table, like on the break, and he'd turn to you, and you're 17 or something, 18, and say, not all 8th notes are created equal. I wouldn't know what he was talking about. And he would just repeat it, like, again and again. And the next time I would see him, I'd say, hey, yeah, Peter, yeah, sounded great, yeah. And he'd say the same thing again. And he'd just wait for you to get it, right? And I wouldn't get it for 10 years, 12 years. But eventually I would get it. And when I got it, I'd say, that's what he was trying to tell me. And it had way more impact than he could have explained it to you, right? You know what I'm talking about, Charles, right?
Of course.
He could have explained it to you. But somehow he knew you would get way more out of it if you kind of work through your own ignorance.
Thank you.
To understand the simple statement. Mm-hmm. And very few musicians would ever talk to you like that. I mean, he had a very unique way of being and talking about jazz. And he's just one of a kind and a great musician. And I also, last thing I'll say is in all of us, me, Mike Oche, Greg Clayton, Lauren, he was the guy, he was the guy that we looked at as the jazz musician in Montreal of those days.
Yes.
Hard days. And thanks, Peter. And that's all I got.
Absolutely.
That's nice.
Absolutely. Oh.
I would like to say something that he told me many years ago. He says, I want to go to New York to ask Jim Hall to give me lessons. Finally, he found the money, and he went there, and so he played for Jim. And after that, Jim told him, I have nothing to teach you. It's just how much absolutely outstanding talent he had.
Yeah. And the other thing, just to throw that in there, like, so here's this guy, like Ville d'Anjou. Is that what it's called? Ville d'Anjou? Is that
Pointe-aux-Trembles.
Pointe-aux-Trembles? It's like one guy, like completely. There's nobody there. How he got it? It's amazing, right? Like no environment, nobody to play with, Yeah.
Bob knew him before that.
Yeah, I think this is a story I told at the funeral. I guess in the very early 60s, there was lots of TV series about police and detectives. It was Peter Gunn. I don't know if you remember that.
Sure.
The Henry Mancini wrote the. And I bought a record at Steinberg's because Steinberg sold records at that point.
Wow.
And the record was called TV Action Jazz. Mundell Lowe and his All Stars.
Yeah.
Donald Byrd. And so I bought that, and I was only listening to rock and roll at, early 60s. So I heard this incredible guitar playing, which I've never heard before. And I went to a mutual friend of ours, Paul Heyer, was playing in the school band. And I said, Paul, I just bought this record. There's incredible guitar playing. Guy was like, and Paul said, I have a friend who could play like that. I said, Paul, don't be ridiculous. This guy's a virtuoso. He says, no, it's
What
true.
year would that have been?
It must have been 1961, 60, had to be early.
Yeah, he's like 17 years old.
But he said, well, he's going to be playing at the boys' club on Saturday. Come along and hear for yourself. So I went, and he could play like that then. He could play like. And then I'll fast forward the story, like 25 years, and I'm sitting in the Village Vanguard, listening to Jim Hall. And after the set, Jim Hall gets up and he says, I'd like to introduce two guitar players in the audience, Barney Kessel and Mundell Lowe. So I ran over to Mundell Lowe and said, listen, the first jazz record I bought, you changed my life. He says, oh, really? And he said, I can't remember. Was it Mel Lewis on drums? I said, no, it was Ed Shaughnessy. And then I listened to him, the whole band, and he couldn't believe it, So we go back that far.
Wow.
And another instance, speaking of Jim Hall, we were at Jim Hall had a great group with Art Farmer, early 60s, and was a
Pete
tremendous
LaRocca.
band with a club on Peel, just near Rennie
Pete
Levesque.
LaRocca.
Pete LaRocca on
No,
drums.
he wasn't
He's
here.
on the record.
He's on that record, but this guy blew up the drums with Q.
Oh, Roy Brooks. Roy Brooks from Detroit. Roy Brooks. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Peter met him, Jim Hall, years later at that time, and he mentioned that gig, and Jim Hall said, yeah, I remember that was the week that President Kennedy was shot. So it would have been September 1963.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
you ought to, to go and hear that group today. I would be very happy to hear them. That was incredible music.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, there's a record or two.
yeah.
Can I say a few things?
Well, Peter was a very, very special person. He knew so many things about so many different areas, and he was so kind. He was kind to me. I was new in Montreal in 1975. I met him. We had a gig at the airport, a Dixieland gig. We used to wear plastic vests, red and white, with funny hats. Peter
You
played.
still have the hat?
Peter played. He played banjo on that gig. Andrew Holmes, they played tuba. It was something else. Dave Clark played clarinet.
Okay.
Dave Turner played alto saxophone. It was quite something. But Peter and I used to meet on the street, and we go up to what's the fish market there on. I lived on Colonial.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Waldman's. Yeah.
Waldman's, yeah. We used to meet at Waldman's and discuss fish. All of these fish, and the people, I didn't know anything about these fish. And we decide on one, and we go and sit down and have a coffee. And we rarely talked about what are you working on or this or that. We just talked about life. He was a very, very nice person. Last time I saw him was at an international jazz education conference in New York. And he had just done a clinic, and we stopped and talked. And he was asking me who I was playing with, and we talked music at that time and stuff. But when I think about it, I think about all the people he's played with and how he carried himself and what he left us. Peter was truly a world citizen. He was one of God's most precious emissaries to this world to give us what we need, which was love and knowledge and a strong work ethic, because that he had,
He did.
So he's very strong work ethic.
He did.
So he's very, very special to me. when I go to bed at night, I often play some of his music. Or before, in the last album, I'm really appreciative of. They gave me a signed copy of that, you know, Big Band album. And I appreciate. I know that Dwayne Bruno, I know that Ray Drummond, I know that John Hicks. All these people are waiting for him. You know, all these people were waiting for me, and they embraced him when he got to the other side. So come on, Peter, let's go play some blues. You know, Pepper Adams and all those folks. You know, so Peter is one and only Peter, and we love you, Peter. We're appreciative of your headstone. It's really beautiful. Sylvie has taken great pride and effort in making it so. So we thank you, Sylvie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Merci.
Well said.
Merci, thank you so much.
He also took lessons from the great René Thomas. I don't know if you know that, huh?
Yeah, I remember Reading when he was here.
Yeah.
And remember the daughter. Oh God.
Yes, he ran into the daughter in Belgium, in Liège, and they talked about René, actually. So, and she signed the poster of his, there was a big poster of him at the engagement, and she signed that poster.
Just a quick comment on the work ethic, because you brought a memory back. And so he had an apartment on Saint Dominic, and I would go to Montreal here,
Jeff
hear
Lapp
him
took that
play, apartment. And I would stay overnight at his place. Right? So at that point, I still lived in the South Shore. And I remember every time I stayed at his place, I'd wake up in the morning. You know, I was like a teenager. I woke up early, and he'd be up before me. And he would practice the guitar, like 8 in the morning, 8:15 in the morning. He'd have his coffee, he'd have his cigarette, and he'd practice the guitar. Like every single time I stayed there, every single time.
And for the next 50 years.
And for the
he
next
did
50
it.
years.
He inherited
Every
that place from
morning.
Pierre Leduc.
It's funny because Jeff Lapp got it after him. I don't know.
He
He might still have it. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it's torn down.
Oh, it's torn down. Yeah. No, I remember he said Pierre Leduc had it before him. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Wow, it was a great place.
And then there was the time he tore the bottom out of my Mazda.
Oh,
But
he
I'm
did
not
not.
going to talk about that. It's not appropriate.
Or what about when his BMW got firebombed?
Oh, I remember that.
That was in Toronto.
So let me ask you a question, because I've heard this so many times, but of course I wasn't there. But I've heard that, because when I started to go to Montreal, I did get the tail end, because people said, oh yeah, well before there was a pretty good jazz scene in Montreal. Right, so when you knew Peter as a teenager or whatever, was there jazz clubs in Montreal?
Well, of course you had Black
Well, there was a
Bottom.
wonderful place called L'Enfer, which was right near the bay in a laneway. It was just a loft,
Right.
and it was really my jazz education, because it would start off at 8 o'clock in the morning with young guys playing, and gradually as more sophisticated musicians would come in, and the quality of your music would suddenly rise up, and at the end of the night you had Roland Kirk on the bandstand, or Horace Silver, and you had Blue Mitchell and Junior Cook. It was so what an and that went on every night. There was no booze. It was it's just sort of a very easygoing scene of people coming and going, and dogs, and just really a wonderful scene. Wim Penstridge, I don't know if you remember him. Wonderful tenor player, huh?
He moved to Toronto, or didn't he? I don't
So
know.
that would have been like 60s,
Yeah.
Early 60s.
early 60s even.
This reminds me about Peter, but about Blue Mitchell and Horace Silver. You know, when Horace was putting his band together, he wanted Nat Adderley.
Oh really?
He wanted Nat Adderley, yeah. But Nat and Cannonball were they hit the ground
Getting
running,
going,
and they were doing well. So Nat recommended Blue. And he said, well, I got this partner, Blue Mitchell. And so Blue joined Horace's band. Can you imagine Horace's band with Nat?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
But with Blue.
Yeah, it
Isn't
was
that
perfect.
something?
And
I
a
always
junior.
thought that Nat played, Cannonball brought something out of Nat.
Oh,
You know,
that
that-
was a bunch.
Yeah, it was not that with Cannonball
That
he was
fit.
a monster.
He fit.
It's just incredible.
It fit.
And I remember also when they were in town, the Horace Silver's band playing at this place, L'Enfer, The police raided it at like 3 o'clock in the morning and had us all up against the wall, going through the
French Connection.
musicians' cases, and then I, in New York years later, I was listening to Junior Cook in this horrible place, full of alcoholics and junkie, and he was playing absolutely beautiful, and I brought this thing up with him. That happened 10 years later. Do you remember that time where the cops came in and? Yeah, he said he could. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Because I worked with Junior Cook. Actually. Another great guy and phenomenal musician.
And that's why, you talked about how they work. Those guys had to work like 5 or 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
I think that's why they got so tight, because they were so experienced. They could read each other's minds.
So I wanted to say something about the headstone, how it happened. For several years, Peter took photographic trips through the southern United States, and his goal was to find the place where the essence of the music came up, because so many great musicians had roots in the South, Mississippi and other parts of the South. Even the people that had moved north up to Chicago and other places, their families, their roots were in the southern United States, and we took all the back roads. He went many times. I only went with him a couple. But one of the things that we did was we would look for gravestones of some of the great old blues musicians. And we, for example, we found Robert Johnson's one of his graves. He apparently had 3 graves, and the wives fought, whatever about. But it was a big deal, an emotional moment to find this gravestone. So I figure maybe in, I don't know, 100 years.
Yeah.
Yes. That's it. Someone will want to see that. So there it is. And one of Peter's students in New York took that little part of music from one of his recordings, and he felt that riff in this was the essence of how he played. So he wrote it for me, and we etched it onto the stone.
Oh, beautiful.
I can't see it.
And I must
I'm
also,
sorry, I can't see it. I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, do,
Actually,
please. They're all
actually it's in the, yeah.
I must also say about the trips down south, doing the research. Peter had a good friend who was a dear friend of mine in Montreal. Dennis James, the great bass player. Dennis was what played in the orchestra, Montreal. And he gave me bass lessons.
Oh, yeah.
Did he?
And he bought me a bass.
Really?
He bought me a plywood bass,
Right.
and I fell in love with it. And then he said, don't get too attached to this. I have a real bass for you. Then he bought me a Czechoslovakian bass, which is great, which I still have. Yeah. So Dennis James is a beautiful person. He's on the record too.
Yes,
He's
on
the last
the
record.
Big Band record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kudos to Dennis. He was my man. Beautiful person, and just as beautiful as he and Pete had a very special connection. I don't know what it was, but I know that they traveled together a lot. They were
We
just
did.
tight, good folks. So kudos to Dennis James as well.
He wants to play them.
Someone else wants to
I'll just say I got a lot of great stories about Peter, but I will not share them with any of you.
He did not live a clean life. That's all.
That's
It's
not
enough.
clean.
We don't need
They're great stories. They're just not for
You can
public
debate
consumption.
philosophically what's clean and not clean.
Okay,
Just say,
we did
we'll
not
leave
do
it at unconventional.
No women involved.
He drove Grant Green around trying to get him a fix.
Yes,
Yeah, well, now we're talking.
Yes, you did. Do you want to close with something, and we'll all leave and go to Bob's house and eat
Close with the word or music?
music? Either one or both.
But all I can say about Peter is he's not talking a lot. He's play a lot.
Yes, that's right.
C'était sa manière de nous dire les choses.
Yes.
Turn that box on. Maybe. Oh, it's loud.
Good choice. Yeah.
Very nice.
Alright. Does everybody know where to go?
I think we all need a drink now.
Okay.
I guess we'll follow.
Okay.
1477 VO.
Oh, great. Oh, I'm glad you have a.
How is that relatively
All right.
close
No
by?
problem.
Absolutely.
If Robert will speak for a moment, it's
Yeah.
close by. How do you get there?
Do you know how? Well,
Well, should we just GPS it or?
yeah, 1477 VO, or if you don't have a thing, it's VO hits Sherbrooke, turn left on VO right down to St. Catherine.
Okay. Say that again.
Yeah, we'll go
It's in
still
the
do the
Maisonneuve
way.
area.
1477 VO.
1477 VO. Okay. So, lovely. Hi. How are you? Good. You had a nice dinner? I heard. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's okay.